And record. Ready.
Oh, hello there. Hi class, I'm Professor Chapman. Today I'm going to talk about my student facilitation project. My topic was some K through 12 schools have less and more sports than other schools, and I want us to talk about why and what we think is the reason why some schools have more sports and some schools have less sports. So our objective today is to figure out why and how many schools offer the most amount of sports for children to play, and why do schools do not offer as much and why they don't. So the first activity is to have the class discuss basically what are some of the sports schools offer and discuss do our children benefit from sports. So like at my school, I went to an inner Detroit school in high school. I went to Chandler Park Academy, and we didn't have sports like hockey and lacrosse. So we didn't even have soccer. So when I went to college, Madonna University, and the high schools from like over there at Churchill and stuff like that, Stevenson, they have like soccer, hockey, lacrosse, and I ain't never seen that much. And I was always wondering like why do my school didn't have that much to offer for us? Like we could have more opportunities for us, but some schools have more. And what could it be? Money? You never know what type of stuff it could be. So we go discuss that today. So my first question is, why do some schools have the opportunity to provide more sports for students than other schools? So what's the reason why? Money, like I said, could money be a big one? How many students go there? How many incoming students they get? So that could be another reason. So the second activity that we go discuss about this topic was go over stats of which schools have the more options than other schools, like what they have more demographics, income, district. That all plays a part in like why some schools have more sports and why schools have less sports. So that's a big reason why, because at my school, what if we didn't have enough students interested in like bowling or something like, or soccer? That's why we didn't have it. Or maybe we did, we just didn't have the funds or the income. And maybe schools like Livonia Stevenson, so like got a lot of students that's interested in all different types of sports. So like you never know. That's why I said the district plays a big part in it as well. So my second question was, does schools being public or private play a part in how many sports they can offer? Because schools like Madonna don't have as much sports as a school like Michigan or Michigan State. So like, does that play a part in it too? Alright, and this go lead us to our third activity today is to discuss the NFHS case for high school activities and tell the stories of how that affect you. So I had an article about the high school activities, and they've just discussed on how much money they spend and put into sports and activities around the school. Like sports make the most, they make like 16.9 million, and other activities make like a leftover like 7 million and stuff like that. But that just show you like they put a lot into these sports. So why do some areas have more sports and why areas have less sports? Like if the NFHS is putting a lot of money into these sports and a lot into the resources so we can be able to have these sports, why is there not that many sports spread it around? Why is it like some areas have more sports than others do? So this leads us to our last question. Does sports allow gender and race specific based students to excel in school? Like a black kid playing on a basketball team or like against a white kid playing on a basketball team. Like what happens? So like does race get into the way of them being able to achieve the most they can in sports? Like with the interview we had in class about the lady telling LeBron just stick to the sports. Like just because he good at sports don't mean he can't speak on other things, because he live in this world too. So his contribute means a lot, especially if he an icon like that. This leads us to our fourth question. Do you agree with the NFHS, and is sports vital for our kids, and should it be put in the same aspect as educating kids? Like is sports as much important as education for our students. Me, I really don't think so, but I think it is vital to build character for our children, so it helps them, you know, and they play a part. Like, you got to have as much fun as you have as much education, so it balance out. That's how you make, I think, a good person. So my fifth question would be, after this lecture, do you think it's a problem with all schools not having all sports? Like, do you think that's a problem? Like, should that be changed? How do you feel about on that issue? Like, what's going on with that? And then my last question was, in the class opinion, is often more sports good for the educational aspect of a K through 12 school system? So that's a big question. Like, the more sports we have, is it going to affect us? Will affect our kids or children these days? You know, what they going through or whatever in life. Like, could that affect them playing all them sports and putting they all into sports? Is it going to affect their grades, basically? And that just sums up of, well, my thing. Like, so in my opinion, I wish some areas had more sports, because I feel like that's a big key, especially for children these days. That's what we rely on, sports, and that's a big thing in our hearts. So I feel like everybody should have the most opportunity to do any sport they want. And if they not given the tools to be able to, then I feel like we should change that. We should allow all schools and all areas to have sports. So that's all for me today.